What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me on this edition is Stephen Wago.
Hi, I'm Stephen Wago, and I'm joining Tony Mango on this edition of Smack Talk.
Editions. Lots of editions. Math jokes. Different type of edition.
2 plus 2 is 4.
I can watch that all day, that fucking Simpsons. It's so good. What we're going to do for this is our main event for the week, if you haven't already checked out and stuff. And originally I was going to do something of like a bracketology breakdown of Smark Madness. I might do that next week or so, but I kind of figured, you know what? We had a little bit of a turn last week, so let's bring back a segment we haven't done since April of 2016, actually, which is heel or face. And if you don't know what that is, it's a very, very simple one. It's more on the debate side of things instead of us making lists of everything, because we have, retained repackaged release, the top rope list, the call the spot, a lot of list things. I like to debate things every once in a while to break it up. And this is as basic as you can get. You got a person, you debate whether or not they were better as a babyface or a heel. Were their runs better when they were a good guy, a bad guy? Were they more on the middle ground as a tweener? That kind of a thing. And if we want them to change from what they currently are, then we kind of start breaking down how we think that should happen and some different things like that. So our target for this edition is going to be Chris Jericho. And the main reason for that is we had that Festival of Friendship, which was one of the best things that we've seen in a long, long time. I loved that segment. That was great. Where Kevin Owens turned on Chris Jericho. And I've got my list up on the website of the heel and face turns, and immediately everybody's like, oh my God, babyface turn for Chris Jericho. And I was like, well, not necessarily. We don't know that yet. I mean, it's going to happen.
Pretty confident. I mean, I would not have Kevin Owens as the babyface in that company.
No, I mean, we know between the two of them, Jericho is going to be the babyface between the two, but they don't have to turn Jericho face to have him feud with Kevin Owens. They could keep him a heel against it and just happen to have him be the one that everybody's cheering and stuff. But more than likely the next week, a couple days from now on Monday Night Raw or whatever, he's going to come out and he's going to be like a full-fledged babyface and stuff. But that got me thinking, Jericho better as a heel or babyface? And he's gone through back and forth. I'm a fan of both of his sides, depending on what gimmick he was doing at the time and stuff. And let's talk about that. So, Wago, as a first impression for Jericho, if somebody were to say to you, say like, I don't know, a guy like Yokozuna, you're going to think heel, right?
Yeah, definitely. Big guy, doesn't really have many charismatic attributes. Put him as a monster heel.
You think of Rob Van Dam, you think babyface.
Goddamn right.
But a lot of people, they can go back and forth enough where you don't really have like a set defined thing. And Jericho, I think, is one of those guys, right? Or do you have do you think of a specific one with Jericho?
There's an argument for that, but I do think he significantly excels as a heel. I think if you pinpoint all of Chris Jericho's lowest moments in his career, you'll find that it was when he was a babyface. So whilst he can be an entertaining babyface and an entertaining heel, unlike some that can only do one or the other, yeah. Miz, for example, perfect example of that, terrible babyface. Jericho can go between both, but I think he's definitely his strengths lie in the heel role.
I think he's a really, really great babyface when he's got the energy and the passion for it, but he seems to have more fun as a heel. And I think it's because he's kind of a jerk, It's sort of like Randy Orton. Like, Randy Orton can be a decent babyface, but he is a heel from, you try to, bring your personality out, Randy Orton's kind of a dick. So he's going to be a heel more than a babyface. And Jericho, he's got those kind of tendencies where he can get under your skin, but he's almost like a babyface heel in a way because he's always, when he's been a heel, been the type of guy that you can laugh at,
Yeah, I definitely get that. Just some of my biggest issues with Chris Jericho is that as a babyface, he was great when he was younger. As this old, declining man Jericho with the old man skin, he just doesn't seem someone you want to get behind and enjoy. He definitely has those... Honestly, he's more humorous as a heel than he is as a babyface.
Usually, yeah. Because you can laugh at him instead of with him.
And I think he's one of these guys that he always says that he's a bigger fan of the PG era because he did his best work in the PG era during his '08 run. My argument is that he was a better babyface in the Attitude Era sometimes than he is now. I think the Attitude Era killed a lot of what he had. He can't call you a filthy, dirty, disgusting, bottom-feeding slut.
Right. You could
And
do
that
the
was
filthy, disgusting bottom feeding, but then you got to be like bimbo or something like that, and then it's like
shit. I don't even think they'd allow bimbo at this
probably
point.
not. But it lacks the
Uh,
punch, you know.
and just to backtrack, I said I think he's a better babyface. I mean, better the babyface than he is now. Back then, overall, I still think his strengths lie as a heel.
The thing with babyface Jericho that I dislike now, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, his age means he needs to adapt the character a little bit more, and he could do it, but it seems like he doesn't really necessarily want to. And if you get like a Shawn Michaels came out 92 or so, I think it was 92 when he started feuding with Marty Jannetty, and he's got the leather jacket on, and the little Heartbreak Kid symbol starts popping up, and he's all sensational Sherry and really cocky and like, I'm the cool guy, I'm this good looking suave real fucking prick kind of a thing. And then that transitioned into babyface Heartbreak Kid, who's like literally doing strip jobs and stuff like that. But when he got older, it's like you can't really be the Heartbreak Kid when you're 45. You gotta just be Shawn Michaels, that really great fucking wrestler who super kicks people and pokes fun at himself and stuff.
He could be the wonky-eyed kid.
Yeah. And The Undertaker, thankfully, has a gimmick where it's like, yo, you can always be a dead man. You can be a dead man when you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, Hulk Hogan, as long as he's got muscles and looks like Hulk Hogan, he could be Hulk Hogan. He looks the same, just older. But, it doesn't apply the same with Jericho. Jericho, as a younger guy, where he's doing the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, when you got a 40-something-year-old guy and he's like, I'm the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, it's like, oh man, that's that guy that thinks that like everybody's still listening to Styx.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. Jericho as a babyface is now Chris Jericho, the hits.
Mm-hmm. And Chris Jericho dad jokes, which I love dad jokes, but for his character, it doesn't work anymore.
He somehow, when he's a heel, he always finds a way to evolve his character. I mean, let's go back and take a look at his '08 run. He totally stripped away everything that we knew was Chris Jericho and just became this vile, callous, slow-talking asshole that called everyone a hypocrite and a parasite. And it was great. That feud with Shawn Michaels is probably one of the greatest WWE feuds of all time. And it's just, when he flips to that babyface, he doesn't have that ability to adapt the character, to evolve the character. I actually can't remember one of his babyface runs in the modern era where he added something new to his game.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Other than switching from long tights to short tights in the Codebreaker.
Because I liked when he first came back and he was feuding with Orton and they did like the Me Want title match kind of thing. But after about 3 months or so, I was like, okay, it's just old Jericho.
By the way, just because we're on the subject, you know when he came out and just like clobbered that fucking guy with the Olympic torch?
The Olympic torch thing, yeah.
Did you like that? I just felt it was kind of underwhelming after all the hype.
Well, it was weird. I loved the Save Us campaign thing. And actually, that's a good little transition to start talking about how he comes back as babyface or heel. The Save Us thing to me, when they started first doing that, first thing that pops into my mind is I thought that it was like a preview for like a TV show or a movie. And I was just like, oh, is this like another Matrix thing or something like that? And then I'm like, I don't know, but the background music is fucking awesome. Now, there's a song called Interfere that came from that I've used as my ringtone ever since. I've had the same ringtone on multiple phones for 10 years. So that's the best thing that came out of that. But the whole thing when it started being like Save Us 222 and Save Us Y2J or whatever like that, and then it was like Y2_, and then all the other kind of stuff. That was a fun way to kind of be like, oh man, Jericho's coming back. This is cool. He used to do the Millennium thing. And
it was that time because it was a nod to the first time he did it.
Right.
The other times, though,
awful.
Well, he did like a couple of things, didn't he, afterwards? And it was just kind of like, oh, it's time for the yearly Chris Jericho return.
Yeah, oh god, what was it?
They had the one with the creepy little girl in the class.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of that campaign even. 'Cause we were thinking that it was going to be Sting or the Undertaker, and it was Jericho, and everybody's like, "Well, if it's not Sting or Undertaker, it's Jericho." And then they're like, "Hey guys, it's Jericho," and we're like, "Yeah, we know." And that was the one I hated it so much. Wasn't it that the one where he came out and he just didn't say anything?
Oh, he just trolled everyone. He just
I
like,
hated it.
yeah, it was probably one of the low points in his career.
Like, I get the idea of trolling people is fun, and I think it's funny as hell when it's done right. I mean, I'm
Like the Emelina thing, I thought was fucking hilarious. And I know they did that because they backtrack on the character, but I just enjoyed the way it came off because it came off as a big fucking troll.
I would have enjoyed it if they would have followed it up with something, but I hated it because it was the opposite. It was like, well, let's just end it right now. But I back when I was trying to do a comedy troupe thing, one of the sketches I wanted to do was going to be when YouTube had a 15-minute time limit. It was going to be 14 minutes and 59 seconds of complete silence of everybody that was in the group sitting around a table and all like just kind of like not saying anything, not doing anything, just sort of like tapping their finger, whatever. And it was even going to be a point where somebody was going to grab a can of soda, and when they flipped the little lid and it was supposed to do that pss, kind of thing, it would have been silent just to piss you off. And then at the very last second, when it's 14 minutes and 59 seconds, somebody would have went like just about to talk, like they open their mouth, and then it cuts away just to piss you off, and it would have been labeled the best 15 minutes of your life. So I love that kind of stuff. And there was a joke in the Lego Batman movie where he's microwaving lobster thermidor, and he puts it on for 2 minutes, and he's literally standing there in front of his, he, meaning Batman, is standing in front of a microwave, and he's just going, and it's a good 30 seconds long or something, and I'm the only one in the theater laughing hysterically. I thought it was fucking great.
I'm actually sold on that film. That's going to be the first Batman film I actually go out of my way to see.
You should definitely see it. It's so funny. It's so
I remember when I saw The Dark Knight, I thought it was fucking overrated as hell. It was a good film, but god damn.
All right, we're going to go with a side note here, wrestling fans. Batman Begins is better than Dark Knight in so many different ways. Dark Knight is an amazing movie, and it should have been nominated for Best Picture that year. And that's the reason why they made that 10 rule.
Is Batman Begins the one with the dude from Taken?
Yeah.
Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like that one. I saw it in, weird thing, I saw that on a fucking boat of all things.
Yeah, it's a better standalone movie. Dark Knight, though, should have been nominated for Best Picture, and that's why they made that 10 movie rule instead of the 5. And Dark Knight Rises sucks. But, yeah, the Lego Batman thing's got a thing where it's literally like, you think it's going to be 2 minutes of him standing in front of the screen doing nothing, and I would have loved it if they would have done that. But Jericho, with the whole, you're going to come back, and it's like, yeah, baby, yeah, I'm back, yeah. And it was just literally like, all right, well, first off, I didn't want you to come back like that, because we would have seen it before. And second, it didn't troll me enough to annoy me in the way that it should have, where I would have found it entertaining. It was more just like, well, now we're going to get something that I'm not going to really enjoy watching for a while. So I loved when he became that heel that was just sort of like, wear the suit and everybody's a hypocrite and they're all disgusting creatures and they're all like, all the different things he used to say. What were some of his catchphrases during there? And I'm just blanking on some of it now. I know disgusting creatures wasn't one of them. It was,
I don't fucking know.
hypocrite was one of them. And
Parasites.
Parasite was one. Let me see if I can find a list of catchphrases from Chris Jericho. Wiki quote. Let's see what that's going to be. Nope. Can't find anything for that part. All right. You're going to hear a big whoosh in the background of that, everybody. I'm not going to edit that out. All right. Well, whatever it was. He had a lot of good stuff that was going on around that time, and it was really, really fun. So that was like one of the best times as heel Chris Jericho versus some of the other heel stuff he's done in the past. I wasn't...
Do you know what helped that? He was getting into fights with people all the time, too. Like, outside the building.
Oh, when he fought, like, the
fans, and he punched that woman in the fucking face. Yeah. It was around the time that he accidentally punched Sean's wife in the face, too, and swelled it up. Jericho was so on point that he'd totally become absorbed into his gimmick. It was great.
See, that's again, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, he's kind of a jerk, so he's good when
I'd
he's a jerk.
argue that he's one of the last heels to get genuine heat.
And it's tough to do, especially for somebody like Jericho, who's able to get these catchphrases over as these fun things that people want to actually say.
It's also tough to him because everybody's got a memory of him. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you have a memory of Chris Jericho. You like WCW? Jericho was there. You like DCW? Jericho was there. You like the Attitude Era? Jericho was there. Ruthless Aggression Era? Jericho was there. And now Jericho's still here. Everyone's had him at some point, and no matter what period of pro wrestling that you're in, unless you're one of those old 80s fucking wrestling fans with nothing to do.
What are you talking about? Danny Hodge is the best ever.
Danny Hodge, hell of a grip, Danny Hodge.
Sonic Shakes.
Sonic Shakes.
I'm looking at some of the catchphrases right now. Just, when it comes to Jericho's catchphrases, a lot of them are Babyface ones because Babyfaces like to get the catchphrases more out there. And really, I don't like a lot of the Babyface catchphrases all that much. Like, I mean, this is a more recent one, but the Rudy Tooty Booty thing, that was awful. He tried to get that going. That wasn't sticking around.
Yeah, but then he had gems back in the day like, welcome to Raw is Jericho.
Raw is Jericho? Like, that was a decent one. I'm the best in the world at what I do, and then CM Punk just kind of stole that. Didn't like that.
Punk did it better.
You think? I think that Jericho was the best.
I think Jericho added something to it. He is, I am the best in the world. Do you understand what I am saying to you right now?
Yeah, that was great.
When he added that part, it was much better.
And it's very just droll, just, instead of somebody going like, because I am the best and I am very energetic, he's just like, I am the best in the world.
It's like he's talking down to you.
Yeah, and that's
like,
so good.
I am the best in the world at what I do. Do you understand, you thick fucking idiot?
One that I really just, it's got to hit me like at the right time, in the right cadence for me to actually really, really like it is the never ever be the same again thing. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it is awful.
There's a catchphrase that he has now that misses like 9 times out of 10, and I'm trying to think what it is.
I love all of his current catchphrases. I specifically love the quiet.
That's the one I was gonna say. He fucks that up all the time.
He was doing it better before he started doing the list thing.
He botches that fucking line all the time. It's just like
he's getting a little bit too energetic behind it.
It's not even that. Sometimes he'll do it when nobody's fucking talking and he doesn't even get a reaction, because he wants people to have a negative reaction, or sometimes he generally wants to hush the crowd, get them to boo and shut up. Or sometimes he'll say it when he'll just say it when it's not appropriate. It just doesn't come off well.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, with any of them, you start doing something and it doesn't really work all that well.
I think that's the biggest thing to go in his age is delivery and timing.
I don't know. See, I think he still has it good for some things, like that "it" thing. He's been great at that.
But he's also made that miss too. More in its infancy, but still.
You know what he's always good at? Ask him.
Yeah, I love that. My favorite work with Jericho right now was when he was with Owens and he'd have the fucking sit down interviews with
Tom Phillips.
Yeah, fucking great. So you do know my name. No, Tom's French for you're a stupid idiot.
Yeah. The stupid idiot stuff is great, and it's like that's what I mean by what I said earlier, where it's like he's kind of a babyface version of a heel, where like the point of him being a bad guy is to make everybody laugh, as opposed to like an unrealistic or somebody with no credibility or anything. It's different when you've got like a James Ellsworth versus a Jericho, because Jericho can still win a match, but you're gonna laugh at him because he's doing stupid stuff like arguing in the middle of the match that you need to ask the guy that he's gonna submit, even though he's just got him in an armbar. Or fuck, the list of Jericho, the original list of Jericho, the armbar thing was amazing, and that was a heel thing to do, yet it's making everybody laugh their asses off.
I was so pissed that he never made a reference to that, because he was reading off a bunch of people on the list one time. I was hoping he'd just go armbar.
If he would have done that, I would have been busting out laughing so hard. He should have. I don't know why he didn't.
He
Maybe
could
it's
probably,
too easy. I don't
maybe
know.
he could do it now that he's a babyface and get away with it a little more. One thing that he started adding into his act, which I found fucking hilarious, was dumbass. I just made a fact that I can't back up Jericho.
Like the
Ah,
random statistics and stuff.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I won the first Money in the Bank. You won the first one. Yeah, the sixth one. The sixth one.
Yeah.
Where? Apple,
Appleton.
Appleton. It's like that shit is great.
Yeah, the Jim and Marvin looter.
Yeah, Jim and Bob.
Which somebody brought up a different one the other day. Daniel Bryan on Talking Smack. He was like, Renee Young said something along the lines of like, are you going to give Becky Lynch another title match? And he was just like, yeah, I'll talk it over. Me and Shane McMahon and Lloyd Peacock will talk it over. And she's like, Lloyd Peacock's going to whatever. And he's just like, yeah, Lloyd Peacock, one of the heads here. And like, so I was like, all right, well, I got to add Lloyd Peacock to the list of other characters of the year. We need that Lloyd Peacock versus Jim and Marvin Luther battle.
Great if he's been a legit guy that's been in the company for years that we've just never known about.
Yeah, like I've heard George Barrios. We all know Kevin Dunn. And then it's like Lloyd Peacock's in the background. He's just like,
but he's like this guy that everybody knows. He's just like being a mystery man. It's like, Hogan, do you know who he is? Oh, yeah, brother.
Oh, yeah, man, Lloyd, I've got some great stories on the road. You talk to Austin, you're like, that infamous picture of the tour bus with Rikishi and with all those guys? And he's just like, yeah, Lloyd Peacock took the picture. Like,
Oh, yeah, he actually was the whole inspiration behind Stone Cold.
Stone Cold Lloyd Peacock was his nickname backstage.
Yeah, he gave me his blessed.
All right, heel or face, Lloyd Peacock's coming out next. Superstar scores, Lloyd Peacock. Tens and all ways. But yeah, like the Jericho stuff like that is great when he can really get that type of a heel character where a babyface normally would be getting that type of a reaction, but then a lot of the babyfaces in WWE, they try to give them that stuff and it sucks. Like when Roman Reigns was doing his attempt at the John Cena comedy, or when John Cena's doing his attempt at John Cena comedy, it doesn't really land all that well. But you give Jericho a heel spot and tell him to be funny, and he'll figure out a way to get as big of a babyface pop as anybody else will get, Now, if you go back to like his old days in WCW, I was always a WWF guy, so I never really fully watched it, but I don't remember a time where he was a babyface. Do you?
I didn't follow WCW closely enough. Most of the WCW that I've consumed was either in 2000 or when I've gone back and looked at it in a retrospect.
I only remember him being the lion tamer and being a heel. So if I'm missing out on something like that, leave a comment below, everybody. Tell me to check out some episode of Nitro that was great or something. But when he went to WWE, or WWF at the time, and he goes straight into a feud with The Rock, he's full-on heel. Then he starts going into some babyface stuff, He's got some feuds with some different people. He goes back and forth and all that. I enjoy Jericho on both regards, but, I mean, if I had to pick, I probably would say I'd rather him be a heel more than a babyface. Right now, I want him to be a babyface because he's been a heel, and I think that he could have a good, fun little bit of time with that list of Jericho. But then again, he's taking time off. And if he
to be quite honest, all he needs to do right now is put Kevin Owens over and go away.
Yeah. It's going to happen, too. I mean,
that's the right thing to happen. I'd be disappointed if anything but that happened.
Right.
I want him to have a competitive, really fun match with Kevin Owens, maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then at the end of the match, Owens fucking breaks him.
Yeah, that's what should happen. And in my mind, it should be for the Universal title, not the Goldberg thing, but we know that that's not happening now. So it's kind of seeming like what they're going to do. They're going to give Goldberg the championship. They're going to keep the United States title on Jericho, and then they're going to give the United States title to Owens. And that's kind of like, while Brock Lesnar beats Goldberg for the title and we don't have a Universal champion, at least we'll have the United States champion. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like picking up where Owens left off, sort of.
I'm loving that the US title's actually like being made somewhat fucking legitimate, though. It's not being held by jabronis anymore.
Well, you go from Rusev to Roman Reigns to Jericho. Rusev, there was a point in time where he was a good United States champion. He needs to work back up. He's not good enough for it now.
He was a great US champion back before Cena happened.
Yeah.
And to
And
be
Cena
fair,
was a great US
and
champion.
honestly, Cena was probably the best US champion of all time.
I don't know about of all time, but definitely of like the modern era.
Tell me anyone that's made that title more memorable. There isn't any.
First person I think of is MVP, but we're
Yeah,
talking a different era
he
too.
had one fun feud with fucking Matt Hardy. That was his fucking great contribution.
And the Chris Benoit one was good.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
I liked it.
Yeah,
It was good enough.
Yeah, you like murderers though, so okay.
Like what?
You like murderers, it's okay.
Wait, what?
You like murderers, it's okay.
Murderers? I was like, I can't understand what this word is.
Murder? Oh shit, you don't like him then. You don't even know what it is.
It sounded like merge.
Murder.
You do like merge. Fuck Marge Barge.
Oh, this fucking word. This word. Okay, fucking word.
This is what happens when we don't think of a game plan when we start writing up ideas for podcasts. We start going into like Lego Batman and Marge Barge, whatever the hell Marge Barge is. Marge Barge for Smark Moment Hall of Fame 2017. I'm in the wrong year. And I got to do a 24-hour marathon in a couple hours. Yeah, I'm looking through his Wikipedia right now, trying to think of some different eras of like, just kind of he becomes undisputed champion. Well, he was a heel at that time. That was still a lot of the same kind of character, and he hits the same notes. But when you're a heel, you can do some of the same heel shtick, and you can do some of the same babyface stuff when you're doing that and whatever. It's some people repeat the same things far too much, and Jericho switches it up. But when he switches it up, usually he tends to give you something a little bit different every single time. And right now, his current his current heel run has been my favorite heel run of his, maybe even more so than the 08 one. I've been loving this.
I'll put it this way. I enjoyed the character more this time round. However, I enjoyed the feuds more in 08.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that. He did have better feuds then.
I'm sorry, but there's nothing. There's nothing in that. Shit, there's nothing in between 2006 and 2010 that can top that fucking 08 feud with Shawn Michaels. Or 07. I think it's 08.
I don't even know who he's been feuding with a lot of that time. Didn't he do like a feud with the Wyatt family for a little bit?
Oh, in one of his babyface comebacks, he had a feud with Bray Wyatt and Ryback, and they were fucking terrible.
And those are completely forgettable. I totally forgot about the Ryback thing.
Yeah,
the only thing I remember about Bray Wyatt
when he was calling him, oh yeah, you're Cryback. Cryback, it's funny because cry, it rhymes with rye.
The Wyatt family thing, the only thing I remember about that was they did a match at Battleground, and then by the time they did the match at SummerSlam, it was like, hey,
I remember you bitching about that hard.
That pissed me off because it was like, hey, at SummerSlam, biggest thing of the summer, rematch. And it was like, oh, great. Okay, so we're just going to see the same thing again?
I would have been fine with it, but they should have gimmicked it up a little harder.
Yeah, at least, up the ante a little bit. Instead, it was just sort of like, let's do the same thing again. And there's a couple of people he could have feuded with, babyface or heel, that he hasn't done really any feuds with yet. But I'm looking back and I'm like, man, this 2013, it's like he had a little bit of an exchange with Ziggler for a little bit. And I as much as I'm a fan of both of them, they're two of my favorites. I don't remember anything about that. He had the thing with Edge, which was fun, but it kind of got messed up with Edge's injury. And the Big Show tag team, didn't really like that in the grand scheme of things.
Jericho versus Edge at WrestleMania is one of my biggest disappointments in all of wrestling.
It could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I think that match was a complete, utter fucking misfire. The match itself was very mediocre. The ending was one of the worst ever for a title match at WrestleMania. I'm sorry,
but the
but
ending, I don't remember.
Fucking
disqualification, right?
It was some fucking disqualification, if I remember right, and then fucking Edge put him through a table.
Oh yeah, and you know what? And then it was 2 days later, Jack Swagger cashed in the Money in the Bank.
I don't know if that DQ thing was right, but I'm pretty confident that it ended in a DQ. I know it was a shit finish.
Yeah, it sounded kind of familiar about that. Let me see if I can bring that up a little bit. Because I do remember being like, oh man, this is going to be so great. This is going to be great. And then it was just kind of like, it wasn't all that good. Let's see. Jericho Edge. Blah, 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 blah. All right, I can't see any information on that really quickly, and I'm not going to bother editing things out and stuff. But yeah, that was just not as good of a feud as it could have been. That could have been as good as the HBK feud, because both of them know how to do a feud. It just really wasn't. And the Swagger thing got in the mix, and, whatever. So a lot of that stuff from that time period of 08 onward, even the CM Punk one, that feud could have been a little bit better. I don't know if it's Jericho's fault, if it's Punk's fault, if it's WWE's fault, and the two of them didn't get the chance to do all of what they should have done. But in the grand scheme of things, when you look at Jericho, his babyface feuds are only as good as his heels. A babyface Jericho never ups a feud. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a shame, and I think that speaks to a lot of what makes the difference between the two. The heel ones, he can make a star.
Yeah, he can really put somebody over, whether it's John Cena or...
Apparently not fucking AJ Styles.
Well, he actually got a lot of good work for AJ Styles, I think. Even though Styles didn't win that match at WrestleMania, I think if he wouldn't have had that feud with Jericho, people would have maybe lost a little bit of interest in him that weren't familiar with Styles ahead of time.
You know what would have helped?
Winning the match?
Yeah.
Or could have possibly backfired. People would have been like, oh, now Styles is going to win fucking everything, because people are dumb.
Tony, be logical. That would have never happened.
We're talking about wrestling.
It's fucking AJ Styles. Everybody loves AJ Styles. In fact, I've not seen anyone turn on him yet.
That's one thing that's pretty surprising.
No, it's not. He's the best in the world.
I'm talking about wrestling fans not bitching about something. That's always surprising.
Nah, there's certain guys that they won't. Shawn Michaels. And don't get me wrong, I don't count Bret Hart fans as people.
Oh no, Bret Hart gets a lot of heat now.
Bret Hart deserves all the heat. He's a piece of shit.
You hear that, Chuck? Gonna come across that tomorrow and be like, yo, Shawn Michaels is a piece of shit, not Bret Hart.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels is a piece of shit. Bret Hart's a bigger piece of shit.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting thing if we ever do heel or face Bret Hart, because, man, heel Bret Hart was so good. I loved heel Bret Hart. But he loves fucking babyface Bret Hart. Bret Hart, loves babyface Bret Hart. Bret! I'm a national hero.
In fact, I was listening to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard today, and they was reading I can't pronounce that word. They was reading a piece of Bret Hart's book. And
excerpt.
Yeah, we go. And he basically just went on, I'm paraphrasing, but it was pretty much this. Basically he was saying my fans are different from everyone else's fans. They connect with me much harder than any other wrestlers. So when Hulk Hogan defeated me, it was totally fucked up.
That's so ridiculous.
He is fucking deluded. And after I heard that, I'm just like, yeah, Montreal Screwjob, entirely his fault. Fuck him. You deluded fuck. You are not some national hero, you cunt. Why does every podcast end up me shitting on Bret Hart?
Speaking of Montreal Screwjob and cunts, I'm gonna save the talk until the hot tags, but there's a porno that's gonna be made about it. So there's your tease for hot tags sometime, whether it's Monday night or Tuesday night, whenever we record that. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
For all the death in the pro wrestling industry recently, we needed this.
Oh, so much. I'm so sick and tired of writing down Vader says he's got a week to live, and so got into some kind of cancer problem, and it's like, no, give me something I can joke about and stuff, Not another injury, not another,
I mean, if you guys check out the Mega Maniacs, we're already cracking jokes, and some of them are really good.
Yeah. Although we unfortunately do have some kind of negative thing to talk about for, a kid wanting to kill people and stuff, but that's hot tag stuff. But to wrap up the heel or face talk, now, we know that he's going to be turning babyface soon. Or at the very least, he's going to be the more babyface-esque version of a still heel.
He's going to be a babyface for a month. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. How do you think that they should go about turning him as a babyface? Should he come out on Raw next week, or even 2 weeks from now, or whatever? And just kind of be like, I'm a babyface now? Should he interfere at Fastlane?
I don't want him to interfere at Fastlane. I want Goldberg to beat Kevin Owens clean so Jericho can go, I fucking told you so, you needed me.
See, since I want the Universal title to still be on Owens, I want Brock Lesnar to interfere and cost Goldberg the match, but I know it's not happening.
Well, that would be stupid, because why would Brock Lesnar cost himself out of a title match?
Right, but I mean, it wasn't going to happen
Now,
anyway.
If you wanted to be smart and Jericho wanted a Universal title match, he would attack Owens, get Owens disqualified, Owens retains the title, now he has a championship match.
Hell, let's do that too. And then Brock Lesnar can come out and beat the shit out of Goldberg anyway.
I wouldn't beat the shit out of everyone. I just love watching Brock Lesnar kick the fuck out of people.
He can come in through not the entrance, through the arena like Roman Reigns used to do, and just while he's walking down, just hit all the fans, just elbows left and right.
I've got a feeling that match is going to be overbooked to fuck.
Which one?
Owens and Goldberg.
Oh, I think it's going to be a 30-second squash.
I hope it's a 30-second squash.
You think it's actually going to be like a match?
I think some shit's going to happen. I'm not sure what, but I think that match is going to be extended for a long time. I think Owens is going to... Because I caught that promo that Owens caught on YouTube. Really good promo about how the longer the match goes, the quicker Goldberg winds down. I think he's going to powder out of the ring at the start of the match and make Goldberg chase him.
They might do that, yeah.
And then I think he's going to cut him off, work the heat for a while, and then we're going to have some shenanigans with interference from either Brock, Chris Jericho, some kid in the first row. I don't fucking know.
So how would you do the Jericho turn, though? Would you have him just kind of do the interference thing that we're talking about? Would you have him cut a promo? Would you wait a little bit more? Like, what do you think?
Honestly, I don't think you need to make it overcomplicated. I think you have Owens drop the belt. He comes out next night on Raw. Owens is extremely pissed. He's demanding his rematch. Maybe cusses out Chris Jericho for putting him in that situation. Then Jericho's music hits. They have a stare down from the top of the ramp. He just comes down and they fucking brawl and have to be separated. You don't need to make it extravagant. At the end of the day, Owens beat the shit out of somebody and he wants revenge. They shouldn't talk it out. They shouldn't have. It should just be fucking, at this point, an all-out brawl, and the US title's just added.
Well, we've got 7 weeks, I think, right now until WrestleMania, so they got more than enough time that if they want to sort of not drag it out, but if they want to kind of keep a slow pace going for it, they can. And I mean, kind of like what you just said a minute ago, they've done the legwork already. We know that this feud was coming. We know that they've got good chemistry together. We don't know about in-ring chemistry as much. I mean, they've wrestled each other.
They're two of the best wrestlers in the world, so you should hope so. But sometimes they have an off night, or sometimes it just doesn't go well. Because talking about the AJ versus Jericho match again, very underwhelming for me, and I was expecting that to be a 5-star classic.
Yeah, it could have been better. So it could be a situation where it's not as good, but I mean, I would assume it's probably going to be a good match. And we already know that the two are great on the mic. We already know that if they do, like, say The Miz comes out and he does like The Miz TV from like a switching the brand type of a thing or something like that, that'll be a fun segment, whatever. But I kind of agree with you. They don't really need to do anything too great. They can keep it on the smaller scale and save the grandiose things for other things that need more attention. Samoa Joe needs more attention to build up a match at WrestleMania. Braun Strowman needs something to do at WrestleMania. Focus a little bit more time on that. Let Jericho and Owens do their own thing. Don't even try to book it,
Every time Jericho and Owens are in the ring together, they should be brawling, and every time that they're not brawling, they should be talking shit about each other.
Yeah.
Don't have them in a tag match opposing each other. Don't stick them in a big 6-man tag match at the end of Raw. And you know they're going to fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
You simply have them talk shit about each other. They've had this friendship. They've got all this dirty laundry to air out against each other. Every time that they come in contact, it should be violent and people should be separating them. This has all the makings of a blood feud, and they need to book it properly now. Now, you've had all the goofy, fun, heartwarming shit. You broke the fans' heart. Now the serious shit's got to come down.
There is one element that I would suggest that they should do, and they touched upon it a little bit, but I think that they can do at least one segment more about it. Sami Zayn. They had, I think it was Charlie, talk to Sami Zayn, and she was like, you got this whole thing going on with Samoa Joe and whatever. We just saw Kevin Owens beat the shit out of Jericho. what are your thoughts? And he was like, well, I hate to say I told you so, but I told Jericho months ago that this is Kevin Owens. He did the same shit to me, and he was going to do it to him, and now he did. I'd like to see some kind of a backstage segment or in-ring promo, maybe like a highlight reel where Jericho brings on Sami Zayn, and he's like, yeah, dude, you were fucking right. Owens is a prick. And if they need, which they don't need to, but if they for some reason feel the need to put Jericho and Owens in opposing tag match sides, it should be Jericho and Zayn versus Owens and somebody. Whether it's Samoa Joe or, you know what I mean?
Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe.
Fucking love Scott Steiner.
So that would be a nice way to round it out, I think. And it kind of brings a little bit more closure to the Owens and Zayn thing, too.
Well, if Owens and fucking Joe are going to be fighting, then it's definitely going to be round. Fat joke.
It took me a second. I was like, what's going to be round? Oh, okay. They. All right. Well, I think if we have to make a decision, heel or face Chris Jericho, I'm going to go heel. You're going to go heel as well?
Flip-flops. Heel.
I thought you were going to flip-flop and say babyface. So I want everybody to leave your comments below. Tell us if you think that Jericho is better as a heel or a babyface. What are your favorite moments from either side of that? What would you like to see them do to transition him in the future? And also, because we know he'll eventually come back, when he comes back, should he come back as a babyface again, or should he come back and go straight into being a heel again? You know, what would you like to see from feuds that he can pull out in the future? Is there anything that he should do when it comes to like cementing his legacy as one side or the other, or should he just stay like a tweener or so? But drop those comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, as well as that little bell icon that'll give you notifications of when we post new videos up. And follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Check out SmarkOutMoment.com. Follow Wego over at Steven Wego on Twitter. Anything else you want to plug?
Bret Hart's mouth.
With what?
Fire.
He learned a new skill. He's one of those fire eaters. You know, the sticks. Maybe he's a sword swallower too. Well, you were going to take this in a bad direction, weren't you?
Yeah.
I could hear yourself cutting yourself off.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. That's all, folks.
Yeah, now Porky Pig is going to say goodbye to you, everybody. It'd be great if there's just a Porky Pig thing popped up right now and everybody was just like, what the fuck? He actually went through the effort of that? I ain't fucking doing that. Yeah, that's it. What's that?
It's get taken down.
Oh, it probably would.
Oh, you used fucking 5 seconds of material.
Got a fucking Power Rangers thing, copyright infringement the other day. Jerk offs. It's like, I'm promoting your movie. You really are gonna be mad that like 80 people clicked on this video? Fuck you. But yeah, that's it for my side of things. Everybody obviously check out fanboysanonymous.com as well. And that marathon that I was talking about a little bit earlier, that is going to be going on Saturday to Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern. It's part of our annual thing that we do with Chris Dace, the Dace-tacular Gaming for a Cause. It's a charity marathon thing. We're going to be playing video games for 24 hours straight. I'm not necessarily going to be playing for 24 hours straight, neither is Dace, but, you know, we're going to get sub people in and out. And we're going to do a whole wide variety of things. So if you can donate. If you can't, at least tune into the stream on Twitch. We got, I think, 3 streams are going to be going on at the same time. And that'll be a, you know, fun thing to kind of eat up some time or like that. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys in the chats and stuff like that. But that's something to pay attention to. And if you are into the Oscars talk, then the Oscars are coming out Sunday. Going to be doing something about that as well. And then we got a whole bunch of different things coming up over the next month. We got Fastlane predictions. We've got the Hall of Fame talks. So we're probably going to do a Wrestling with the Past on that. We're probably going to do a Sporkle quiz. Maybe something else with the Hall of Fame. I'm assuming we're probably going to do another Smark Out Moment Hall of Fame. So if you have any suggestions of what should go into the Hall of Fame for those stupid-ass jokes.
Bret Hart can get the Fuck Off and Die award.
I think weren't we going to make a Fuck That Guy Club award or something like that? Or did we do that last year?
Yeah, we did that one. It was Lanny Puffer.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
Or did we not? Or did we do one 2 years ago and forget to do one?
God, I don't remember at this point.
All right, we're bringing it back. Start getting your nominations in, and I think the Bret Hart will not be allowed.
We also have Fantasy Booking WrestleMania is going to be coming up. We've got something that I'm going to try to do. I can't promise yet for sure, but I'm going to try to start a new segment called Superstar Showdown, We're going to argue who would like win in a fight between the two, who's the better superstar between the two, and a bunch of different little things like that. And I'm going to try to cater that towards St. Patrick's Day because I like alliteration. So it's the St. Patrick's Day Superstar Showdown between Finn Balor and Sheamus, the two Irish superstars. So that's something to maybe look out for. We got a whole bunch of different ideas that we're spinning around. And of course, a couple days from now, we're going to be starting the Smark Madness Tournament, the best finishers of all time. So all that is coming your way. Tons of articles, tons of talk for WrestleMania and all that. Busy month for March. Lots of Fanboys content. Lots of shit from Smark Out Moment. So I'm going to be busy as all fuck. So that's going to be it for this episode of the Smack Talk Podcast. Thank you all for listening, everybody. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we are being counted out.